At the beginning of the tale is exposed the love between the two kings as a brothers, while the king Chasama is in exile of his palace, is also thinking in visiting his brother who live in another palace. But the first decide to visit his wife, who is found in a compromising situation with a black slave. Then he decides to kill them and continues with his trip toward his brother. But his brother noticed that something is wrong with his brother and decides a plan to hunt him. But the King Chasama decided to stay at the palace and discovered that his sister in law is in a compromising situation with a lot of slaves, and decide to create a plan with his brother in order to discover this. And and the Kinshasama Shahryar kill all of those people, and both the King Chasama and the King Shahryar goes out and found a genie with a lady that tell them bad stories about women. And with this, the King Shahryar decide to take the virginity of all the young ladies of his palace, and after that kill her. So with for this reason, all the people at the palace is so scared about this and decide to leave behind this. And for this reason, Wazir decided to tell this to his young daughters in order to find a solution. But the old daughter decide to sacrifice her in order to save all the young ladies of the kingdom. And after that, um, the king Chariar take the virginity of this lady, and she decide to tell a lot of stories around this in order to save the lives of all the ladies of the palace. Tale items. Adventure appear in the tale when the two brothers create a plan in order to discover the compromising situation of the wife of the king Chariar. The quote that represents this is, "Make it appear then that you are going out to hunt and course, but hide instead with me, and you shall be witness of the sight and see the truth of it." Morality. Morality is represented in all the action of uh, each character did in the tale, but the most important is this. Returning and entering, he found his wife stretched on her bed and being embraced by a black slave. Because with this moral action start the tale. And fable. A fable is appear in an explicit way. The quote that represents this is, "Take care that the fate of the ass with the bull and the horseman befall not you also listen." And fantasy. Fantasy um, appear when the two brothers is way out of the palace and see a genie with a lady. So then behold, the smoke column change to a gin of great sight. So that's it. Addicted to life. Life is viewed as something that is insignificant and worthless because the king takes the life of anyone who is anything wrong for them. And addicted to her death Death is viewed as something that is normal and constantly, and obviously insignificant at the same way that life. And attitude toward God, I think that it was represented in an equal way that the kings, because at the beginning they said Allah is wise and power, saying that the kings are wise and power. So that's it.
Now in the question, what roles do women play in the story? How do they differ if at all from the stories about men? Now, in the story of King Shahryar and his brother, women play several roles that at the center to the narrative and reflect the social norms all the time. For example, women's vulnerability. In this case, the women in the story are often read as a victims of betrayal and injustice. King Shahryar's initial anger is provoked by his wife's betrayal, leading him to promise to marry a new virgin every day and execute her the next morning. Now, in the object of desire, women represented as object of desire and symbol of power. Sharyar's quest for revenge hints to the assert the demands over women by marrying and then executing, demonstrating his control over his life. Now, in the question, how does this story warn us against greed, gluttony, materialism, jealousy, adultery, or dishonesty? The first is greed and materialism. Kings share the decision to marry a new virgin wife each day and execute her the next morning reflect the fixation on material possessions is the disregard for human life. The second is gluttony. King's share cycle of marrying and executing women can be seen as a form of gluttony in which he indulged in a perverse appetite for dominance control over others. And the third is jealousy. Shares jealousy over his wife's infidelity and inability to forgive and reconcile reflects as a toxic manifestation of jealousy. Now in adultery, the story depicts adultery through the betrayal of Cherry's wife and its devastating impact on him and his kingdom. And finally, is dishonesty. Cherry's decision to marry and execute a new virgin every day is based of dishonesty and the same instead of addressing the root cause of the hurt and betrayal. She resorts a deceptive plan that perpetuates a cycle of violence at first.